Hey, I'm back. Alright. And, for this stream, it's gonna be another Saturday Smackdown, but depending on whether or not we actually, I will get any players in my room to play against, that'll determine how long this event lasts. But if no one shows up in the first 10 minutes, then I'm just gonna have to play Sudeki. In the meantime, though, I guess I'll just might just talk about some stuff. Still have to unpack a bunch of stuff, but otherwise I don't really have anything else to do as far as IRL and things. Oops. Anyways, got a lot of projects I need to finish up on, so I'm hoping to get around to that on my days off in the next few weeks. But it's just been difficult because of the fact that I'm at a new place and I'm having to learn my new surroundings, figure out exactly the best routes to get to here and there. But otherwise, though, after the first 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I should be good with that. Anyways, I was playing a bunch of matches yesterday as Hibiki, of course, and there's a lot of stuff I've realized that I've yet to learn when it comes to not just playing as Hibiki, but just playing this game in general. A lot of mechanics, option selects, and other maneuvers and techniques that I've yet to learn to use. But suffice it to say that Hibiki, he is technically an easy character, one of the easiest characters to learn to play the game with, but his greatest weakness is the fact that his normals have very short range. So much so that he cannot really challenge anybody on the ground. Sometimes even in the air. What I don't like about him particularly is that his approach to controlling space and getting near the opponent relies heavily on whether or not he can out his drive correctly and whether or not the player can use his jump C effectively. And the reason why I don't like this is because this is these are some things that Hazama shares as well. Except with Hazama, it's not just the fact that he has very short range with his normals, but it's also the fact that he does not have any good answers to mid-range distance. Most of his attacks don't reach that far, or overreach for that matter. So, even though I didn't want to play Hazama anymore, I ended up playing a character that plays a lot like him. And is honestly a little bit easier when it comes to their inputs anyways. But the same strategy applies similar strategies apply from Hazama to Hibiki. The only real difference is that Hibiki is Hibiki doesn't have... I want to say he doesn't have as much execution, or rather the demand for execution with Hibiki is not as high as with Hazama. But I digress. But yeah, just trying to approach the opponent has been a really big struggle with me as far as learning Hibiki goes, because even though he's technically a rushdown character, you can't just go forward dashing into the opponent and throwing out a bunch of stuff, and even if that stuff lands, typically it's not going to put him in a favorable position, especially if the opponent's barrier blocking. So but he's also got his good points and his strengths. For one, he can punish the opponent jumping around a lot using just his Zuna drop command throw. And on top of that, he's got easier mix-ups as far as inputs go compared to Hazama. And of course, his throw range is a lot better than Hazama's, so you can actually use throws a lot more frequently with Hibiki than Hazama. What else? His block strings are a lot better than Hazama's. With Hazama, you had to... Oh, okay, we finally got someone. Yeah, with Hazama, you have to consistently throw out his 5B. And you don't really have many other options besides that. With Hibiki, you got a lot more options to open up the opponent. I don't know what to do against his Anami. A lot of characters in this title that I've never played against before. Come on, man, I lagged. I dropped that input because the game lagged.
Please select your character. Rachel, BBCF, Kohaku.
Sometimes I wonder though if I should just throw out a bunch of stuff and just continue chasing the opponent.
Rebel 1. Action.
something like this. Whoops. That's the thing though, you're told to just jump C all the time with the Ibiki, but that makes him very predictable.
Rachel, win. Rebel 2, action. Distortion finish. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1, action.
Yeah, I knew she was gonna do that.
Rebel 2, action.
Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Alright, fair enough.
Rebel 3, action.
Okay.
Please select your character. New BBCF Kohaku. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action!
There's no point in bursting all this. Yeah, you just don't get to play. I don't know.
Rebel 2. Action! The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action!
Really? I still gotta get better at block strings though, because I'm not using his drive to do so. And that's something I've heard common complaints about with Hibiki, is that he just doesn't do well against zoners. But that's literally every rushdown character ever, so I'm not really going to use that as an excuse.
Please select your character. BBCF Kohaku.
I wish these guys would just play the same character so I can have an easier time learning.
Izayoi. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action. Rebel 2. Action. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action. Rebel 2. Action.
Oops, dropped it. I don't know why I keep doing that, man. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action. Rebel 2. Action. I'm thinking what I could have done differently. The thing is, though, typically the matches are just so fast and you just don't have time to think about what you're doing wrong. Rather, you just resort to doing what works. Trying to think, though. Maybe just jumping forward is just not the best idea. Maybe I ought to be a little bit more patient.
The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel,
Just jump back a bit.
action.
What is that damage, man? It was like 4,400 damage off of I don't know what. Oh wow, this guy rage quitted. But something you're not going to see me do, at least not yet anyways, is rage quit. I don't know what his problem was, I just won the first round, that was it. Anyways, okay.
Please select your character.
It's just getting in that's the most difficult part with Biki. Like, how do you expect a rushdown character to do anything when his normals just don't reach as far as most of the other rushdown characters in the roster?
The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1, action.
Oops.
Rebel 2, action.
You see what I mean? I mean, technically speaking, like, it's obvious that a lot of the people I'm playing against know more than I do about the game in general, as well as the characters that's in the match, but still, though, I mean, how do you beat someone like Jin that's got way better normals than he does?
Rebel 1, action.
Oops. What? Alright, I mashed out of that. I see why people complain about the damage in Arc System games, but I still don't think that's a real issue.
Action.
Oh, I went through that.
The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action.
I messed with that. You see what I mean? See, even if I timed the input correctly, it doesn't matter. He just doesn't have enough range. Which is what the guides on Discord said not to do, is throw out 2C like that. Because it just doesn't reach far enough. I mean, I've watched several matches of people playing QBAQ, and that's what a lot of, not just in fighting games, but that's what a lot of top pro players say, is just watch the guys that are better than you play. But the problem with that is, when you don't know why exactly they're doing what they're doing, it honestly doesn't make that much of a difference if you're watching what they do. Obviously, of course, you're trying to figure out why they're doing stuff that doesn't.
Rebel 2. Action.
I just barely missed him with that jump C.
Rebel 3 action 後ろです。見えます。
Yeah. I just don't know the answer to someone that's just gonna jump in like that, besides just doing easy Nami throw. But even then, sometimes that's not gonna work if the character the opponent is playing as has a disjointed hitbox better than Iki's. So I don't know. That's one thing a lot of these guys don't say is how do you deal with someone that's also doing the same thing you're doing, which is jumping in.
Rebel 2 action 後ろです。
I honestly can't get mad at this guy because Jin is an actual character I respect. Jin just has an answer for everything. Technically, Hibiki does too, except for projectiles. Like, yeah, 2D, you can throw out 2D, but the problem with 2D is that you can't really get anything off of it unless you commit to throwing out 3D. But even then, if you do, you get a little finicky.
Rebel 1 action Rebel 2 action
「
I think I figured something out. Okay, well, I was figuring something out. Maybe I just have to use 2D and 3D more in the air. Because it's a lot less committal, right? It's easier to see jump seed coming. Because obviously if Hibiki's moving towards you in the air, that's probably what he's going to throw out.
Hibiki Kohaku. Jin Kisaragi. The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action.
Oops. He always knows. That's just because I keep barrier blocking now.
Rebel 2. Action.
Oops. Oops, not that. There we go. It is kind of hard for me to believe though. I've got over 100 matches with Hibiki now. Just jumping in, man. I'm not jumping in, but just trying to approach the opponent. It's tough because there's just so much mobility in this game. But then you're playing against someone like Tager. It's often difficult to, for me anyways, to figure out exactly what to do against someone that can change the trajectory and speed of their movement or jump just at any time. Granted, Hibiki can do the same thing, but I find it, I don't know. It's not difficult, it just feels weird. At least with Hazama, it made a lot more sense with his movement because wherever you throw your chain, that's the direction in which you were going to move with Hazama. Right. And on top of that, with Hazama, you don't really just stay in the air. No, that's not what I meant. What I mean by that is, no, actually it's not that different with Hazama. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm just still learning this character. That's really what it comes down to. There's a lot to learn, as I've discovered yesterday. There's a reason why there's a huge Bible on this character. And on top of that, Hibiki has his own Discord server with nothing but learning resources, matchup knowledge, and so on. I find it funny though, I still haven't like gotten mad or rage quitted. I'll get a little frustrated just because I'll keep falling for the same strategy, or I'll keep making the same mistakes or having bad habits. But otherwise though, I typically don't get mad just for losing. Like, I already know that I'm gonna not do well against someone that knows how to play this game better than I can. It's the same mentality I finally had when I was learning BJJ. You have to not only understand the belt system, right? Go from white belt to blue belt to violet belt to brown belt to black belt, right? That belt system. You not only have to understand that system, but you have to respect it as well. A white belt is just simply not going to win against a blue belt if the blue belt doesn't want them to. The same goes for anyone else higher than blue belts, right? That's not to say that white belt can't beat a blue belt or anyone higher. It's just the fact that the chances of that happening are just very low. And that's the same mentality I'm having when it comes to learning this, not just learning this game, but just learning how to play fighting games in general. I will say this though, I did play other titles like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and I have to say that those games definitely are a lot more simpler, as far as movement goes anyways, than anime fighting games like most Arc System games. There's not a whole lot of characters in most Capcom fighting games that can just double jump, air dash, or teleport around, right? But in not just Blazblue, but in a lot of other Arc System titles and other Eastern fighting games like Under Night In-Birth. Oh, we got someone else. Oh, I guess they changed their mind. What was I saying? Oh, right, and a lot of these games, Eastern games anyways, you have to think a lot about just the movement of the characters themselves, or the players really. Where they're gonna end up landing, how long it's gonna take for them to be in the air, right? Or how long it's gonna take for them to go up the trajectory before they start falling down. Because some characters can actually slow the descent, like Makoto with her tail attack. And even Azama, because he can, with 2 chains, he can actually stay in the air far longer than most other characters. It's tough, it really is. I'll be watching these matches back sometime soon. Maybe even after the stream is over. I'll just watch over the matches, just to see if I can learn anything from them. Again though, because the action is so fast, it's often difficult to figure out exactly what you're doing wrong, what you're having to improve, or what I'm having to improve anyways. But at the same time though, that's where problem solving comes in. It's just a huge learning curve though when it comes to not just this game, but a lot of Eastern fighting games. I think Skullgirls would be the only Western fighting game I can think of that has just as much mobility, or not, maybe not just as much mobility, but has a lot of mobility as well. But that's a bit of a... It's a bit unfair because... Well, no, it's not, because I don't think MVC3 even had a whole lot of characters that could just move around in the air this much. And if you take a look at the best characters in that game, you'll notice that a lot of them, like Doom and Storm and some others, some of the best characters in that game also have really good aerial attacks, very good movement in the air. Magneto is another one I can think of right now that has a lot of mobility, mostly because of his ability to dash around with his flying ability. Same goes for Storm and such. Looks like everyone's probably just done playing for tonight. I don't blame them though, because honestly it was wondering if anyone would be willing to play this late in the day. The thing about going back to my analogy with BJJ, at least in BJJ, typically the instructor will pit the white belts against other white belts. If your instructor is nice and is a good teacher, they're going to pair the weaker students, or the students anyways that don't know as much, with other students that more or less don't have a huge gap between them, each other. That's probably gonna have to be the last person I've played against.
Please select your character. Hibiki Kohaku.
This guy gonna play Turn? Oh, never mind.
Susano.
I used to play a lot of Turumi back then too, in CP. But that was when he was way worse than what he is now. I've already explained why in the past stream.
Rebel 1. Action.
I notice I have this tendency to jump when I'm in the corner. Knowledge checking is also a real thing. Again, if the player knows that they're playing a character against another character, and that character can't do anything against theirs, they're going to take advantage of that. Okay. Do you want to play again? Okay, I guess he does.
Please select your character. BBCF Kohaku.
That was weird. Maybe it was a mistake or something. They didn't mean to leave the match. Or leave the select screen.
The wheel of fate is turning. Rebel 1. Action.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. They can just do that much damage.
Rebel 2. Action.
Watching matches with people playing Hibiki against certain other characters doesn't really matter that much, because chances are you're going to be playing against a lot of different people that just simply don't want to, they're not going to play the same characters as other people. I got about half a minute left before the stream is supposed to end. Let me just go ahead and end the thing. You gonna leave? I guess not. That's alright. Anyways. Doesn't matter, I gotta leave anyways. No, but as I was saying, I'll be watching more matches of EBK gameplay, but the fact is that one, character matchups don't really matter right now because I'm just trying to learn how to approach the opponent in general with Hibiki. Obviously, Jump C it's kind of a meme with Hibiki because it technically is one of his best normals, but a lot of characters I've noticed can actually hit him out of the air with normals and beat it out. I think the real reason why is because Hibiki's Jump C has nothing but very horizontal hitboxes, and he can't hit anyone below him, immediately below him. Contrast that with, say, Ragna's moves, jump C. Let me actually show it off, in fact, instead of just talking about it. I'll just show it off.
Please select your character. Ragna the Blood Edge. BBP Kohaku.
Because the fact is that I want to say Hibiki is vertically challenged. And I don't mean that he's short. I know that's what that really means, but what I mean by that is a lot of his normals just simply don't hit people above or below him. And that's a really big problem. Technically speaking, his quarter circle A B variant, Thrashing Claw, this move. Whoops. This move here. that hits directly below, but unfortunately he has to use his command jump, putting him in the air anyways in order to make that work. I think this is Bang's remix theme that's playing right now, but anyways. So, check it out, the opponent's crouching, right? It honestly doesn't matter if they're crouching or standing, but we show it off. Hold on. Come on. Oops. Okay, hold on. This is exactly what Hibiki lacks, is some way to hit the opponent directly below him. Either with an arcing attack that swings downward and in front of them, right? Or just hits the opponent directly below him. He doesn't have anything like that. All of his normals in the air hit completely horizontally, not even upward. So that's a huge weakness I've learned with Hibiki's normals that I'm gonna have to figure out how to play around. Technically speaking though, he does have a way to hit the opponent. Despite that. Check it out. And this is what I've learned too, as I was playing against these other players. So, again, I mean, technically jumping A is the exception, but you can't throw out more than one when you're jumping, and on top of that, it's such short range that honestly is not even worth throwing out. Yeah. So that's just a completely horizontal swipe. I do catch people jumping in the air with his jumping B. But in order to swing downward, that second attack does. But the problem is that when the opponent sees this first B being thrown out, they're gonna know to block overhead anyways. I mean, block that. But yeah, it's completely horizontal, this jump C. So what to do against that, or what to do about that? The opponent's on the ground. You're Hibiki, you want to jump in the air and do something in the air. Right. You want to hit the opponent while they're on the ground, but you don't want to throw this out because obviously it's going to miss. Unless, of course, you wait. But by that point, the opponent is going to throw out some sort of move to beat it. Typically, it's going to be their 5B or, yeah, some sort of 6 attack. So 6A for Ragna, 6B for Azrael, and so on. So what to do about that? Well, oops, not that. What I was doing against some of those guys was throwing out his 2 and 3D in the air. So I can throw this out. Now actually move. Weirdly enough, that'll move Hibiki forward a bit after the animation ends. But that's a pretty like non-committal way of attacking the opponent, right? As in, it's pretty much a projectile he's throwing out. It's a very slow one, but it's a projectile nonetheless. Oops. And it's got a big hitbox too, surprisingly enough. And then his 3D, of course, is actually really good because it actually, even if the opponent's blocking, let me just do this. Whoops. Okay. So even if the opponent is blocking, right? If you do 3D, it'll be treated as an overhead. Trying to get him over this way. See? I just haven't figured out how to convert off of that. I'll have to go into the training room and like I am right now and figure out a combo from that. Okay. So that's one answer, or one way to deal with that problem. Again, though, it's not perfect because, again, it's really slow, and on top of that, because it halts Hibiki's movement in the air, like this. If the opponent jumps in the air as well, or is in the air or is above Hibiki while he's doing this, he's just completely vulnerable. And of course, if he misses, that's no good either, but that's obvious. Let me think. What else was working? I used to do this a lot. But the problem with this is that... Oops. It's got a lot of recovery on it. I'll have to look up the frame data, but I know that this is really slow. See? Takes like a good second for him to actually jump up after doing that. And of course, if the opponent blocks it, then you just get wrecked. So that's why I don't throw that anymore. This is ridiculously slow, so it's better to throw this out from a distance. The thing is, though, it can miss completely like that if the opponent's just crouching and not moving. So, there's that. Anything else? Again, this is good as a cross-up. And if the opponent's, like, yeah, immediately teching and they're not careful, you can just pretty much land. I've landed that as well, but the problem with it's got the same this thrashing claw has the same problem as this attack, and if you miss, or if the opponent blocks anyways, you'll be in a lot. It'll take a long time to recover. See? Yeah, it takes a good second for him to jump up afterwards. Let me think, though. What else? So this is risky, but it has a lot of reward because it does hit overhead, and it hits immediately below him. What else? Throwing this out is actually a pretty good idea. It challenges people or players that like to just throw out projectiles, or that like to just jump back a lot. And not jump back, but like to go all the way over here, create this much distance, and then start moving in close. And then of course I can do this, surprise them. This is really good. Whoops. So his 6B is actually decent against opponents that are jumping in the air. I'll show it off. See, not only does it hit them in the air, but it also knocks them down. And you'll see me throw out this combo a lot. Oops. Yeah. So it's just some solid damage, but the problem with this attack is that it's good if the opponent's trying to mash like 2B, like this. But at the same time, though, it's really slow. There's a good long delay before he actually throws out the attack. So you can easily get interrupted with it, and I usually do get interrupted by throwing that out willy-nilly. Let's think, what else? This is alright, and the problem with this is that I can't really figure out how to get anything off of it without spending a meter. It's not like Terumi where if you land 3C, you can immediately do a combo afterward by doing his stomping attack. With a Beaky, I feel like you can't really get anything off of it. At least I haven't figured out any way to do so. Yeah, see, I can't get anything off of it. Oops, not that. Yeah, nothing converts off of it. This would be a really good anti-air if the hitbox was just a little bit bigger. The problem with this though is that it's at such a very specific angle that it's very easy for me to miss this because if the opponent's double jumping or forward dashing in air, then I can just whiff that completely, and I typically do. Hence, that's why you're not supposed to throw it out like that, according to the guides. I don't know. As I said, I'll figure out how to play Hibiki better eventually, but when people say he's an easy character to play, I think what they really mean by that is his execution is easy. But the whole strategy to play him is actually a lot more difficult than they neglected to mention. It's not as straightforward as playing Terumi, and I'll show you an example of what I'm talking about. At least with Terumi, it's a lot simpler to play him, both execution and strategy-wise. Whoops. Come on.
Please select your character.
So let's play Terumi.
Yuki Terumi. Hibiki Kohaku.
And while I haven't played Terumi and this title, nevertheless though, some of his stuff is still familiar. And why not? So, as I was saying with Terumi, with this 3C, so if you just throw this out, you can actually get a lot off of it just because of his stomping attack, his 2-2C. See? That. So, I mean, that doesn't look like a whole lot, but back in CP, you would be able to throw this out, and then follow it up with this. Say snake bite. Oops. Of course, now in this version, it doesn't actually work like it doesn't do the whole throw animation, for some reason. I don't know why exactly they decided to do it like that. Oops. Let me see if I can do it. Nope. Oh. Weird. Weird. Well, not weird, but that's been changed. Anyways, you get the point. You get something off of it, whereas Hibiki doesn't really get anything off of that. I feel like anyways. Let me check to see if this works. No? Weird. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother wasting any more time, but you get the point. If I knew how to play Terumi in this version, I'd be able to do something off with that afterwards. And you can in this title. But that's my point, is that you can't really do anything with Hibiki's 3C without spending meter or overdrive. And that's kind of the problem, really. Oops. Hold on. See, thing is that you're sacrificing a lot just for that. I guess not a lot really, because you do get a life lead and such, but still, I mean, it's the same problem I had with Terumi and CP, whereas Terumi and CP was a character that was very reliant on something he had to have, but he didn't have it at the beginning of a match. And what I mean by that is Terumi and CP needed heat meter in order to do hardly anything against most of the cast to even be able to compete. The problem is that with when each round starts, he starts off with 0 meter, 0 heat. So you have to essentially work without it until, of course, you land a few hits with his drive attacks, and then you finally get enough heat meter to do something. Let's see what else. Yeah, you can do rapid. Again, you should, in my opinion, I shouldn't have to do that though with the Hibiki, but I'm pretty sure there's a way to not have to spend meter in order to get something off of this. Whoops. I mean, I don't hardly ever spend meter during my matches anymore because I realized that throwing this out, whoops, isn't gonna work, right? But the opponent's just gonna see that coming. All I have to do is just do this, just block. Same with this. Like, these are technically reversals, but it doesn't really matter if one, that misses, and two, worse, if the opponent knows it's coming and they're just gonna block it. Anyways, I'll figure it out, but that's enough of me complaining about all that. I should really end the stream now. Still, I'm not salty about this, so I at least got to play some more matches today. Again, I'll just watch back, watch others, and just continue learning. Learning. Till next time, peace.